Hi everybody, this is Mrs. Corso. So we're going to be learning about Pixlr in this video. In lieu of Photoshop, Pixlr is a nice alternative that you can access on the internet. It is web-based, you don't need to download anything, and like I said, it's just a good alternative if Adobe Photoshop is unavailable for you, like in our case it is. So we're going to be exploring Pixlr. So basically you can go to www.pixlr.com and it'll take you to their main website. So you see you have a menu up on top here. You have Pixlr R or Pixlr X or Pixlr E. So you can scroll down and you can explore this site and see what's available for you. But if you're ready to start, we're using Pixlr E. Pixlr X is it's actually a little too simple. Pixlr E is probably something that's going to look really, really familiar. The platform, the way that that's set up, it's going to look a lot like Photoshop. So you can see I was kind of messing around with a couple of things just a couple of minutes ago, but we want to make a whole new image. So if you have an image that you have already saved in your Google Drive, in your machine somewhere, you can go ahead and open that image. But we're going to start with new. So you're going to hit create new. So the size, right? You don't see an area where it's going to actually ask you, do you want like an 8 by 10 image, 8 inches by 10 inches? It's all in pixels. So you just got to do a little bit of math. For example, if Mrs. Corso asks you to have an 8-inch by 10-inch image and it's 300 resolution, that means it's 300 pixels per inch. Well, if you take the 8 inches and each of the inches is 300, that means that the width will be 2400 pixels. Same thing with the height. If it's 10 inches and each one of those inches is 300 pixels per inch, the height would be 3000 pixels per inch. So let's just make a little square and let's just keep it nice and rounded. Let's do 3000 width and 3000 height. So that means that the image that you're going to end up with is a square. So now if I hit background, that means that it's going to be asking me what color background I want. If I uncheck the background, it's going to be a transparent image. So for the background, I'm just going to go with white. And so this is pretty much a blank white piece of paper. So if you wanted to add a layer, for example, if you hit the plus sign where the layers window is, just like Photoshop, you would hit the plus sign. Here's your history, so you could see what you can see your work that you've done in steps. The only thing that might be a little different is the navigate area, and what this will do is if you drag this little toggle back and forth, you can see when you're zoomed in and zoomed out. I was having a little trouble with the zooming, by the way, where if you hit in Photoshop where you hit Command plus and Command minus, and in your case, I think for the Chromebooks, I think you have to hit the Control button instead of the Command button for all of those little shortcuts. It's going to be Control. If I keep saying Command, what I mean is Control. So, because I'm using a MacBook Pro for this, so mine is still Command, just like the machines that we use at school. But like I said, Chromebooks, controlled. So you have your tools on the left, just like in Photoshop. You have your foreground color and background color. Instead of squares, they're little circles. You have your bar up on top here, which is your options bar. For every tool that you click on, the options will change. You also have your menu bar, which is here, not to be confused with what's up here. Because don't forget, this is a web-based program. So this is your workstation right here, your work area. Okay, it starts here. Anything you do up here is going to affect the website, meaning your options and settings on on the web. Whereas if you just want to make adjustments and such in Pixlr in this workspace here, you're going to be using this menu bar right here. Let's see, what else is there? You have your layers. So right now, looks like I'm in the crop tool. And if you did want to crop this image, you can just drag this up and down. And then up here, you can reset it. And let's see, what else do we need for crop? I mean, you can have it be a ratio, like if you needed it to be a 2:3 ratio, you can set it up 2:3, and then it's just kind of limited to that size. But I'm just going to reset it because I don't want to commit to it. So let's say that you just want to draw. So it used to be the brush tool in Photoshop, but it still uses the shortcut, keyboard shortcut. If you look in this window in the bottom right, it says shortcut or keyboard. Oh, they spelled board wrong. Keyboard shortcut B. Here, keyboard shortcut R. Again, they keep spelling board right. Oh, that's keyboard wrong. Keyboard is B-O-A. Oh, okay. Anyway, so you can see you have your shortcuts, like the crop tool is still C. The arrange tool, which I call the move tool in Photoshop, it's shortcut V. Man, that board, that's going to mess me up for the rest of the time. Anyway, marquee tool, gradient tool is G, text tool is T. So there's a lot of things that are familiar. So if you wanted to make a color, you can just go to the fill. If you click on here, this gives you the color picker. So if you needed this background to be a different color, you can certainly just dump it in. If you use the brush and you pick a different color for the brush, and then you can do that. The brackets next to the P do not change the size of your brush like it did in Photoshop. So you'll have to just click on this brush menu right here, and size, you just have to make it bigger the old-fashioned way. Now there might be options as we go along, and I'll fill you in depending on the projects that we do. But sometimes if you just hit the Alt button or the Control button or the Shift button when you're on an options or on a tool, sometimes the options change and some things will be available for you. So if I wanted to take the marquee tool, for example, and I wanted to make a selection of this area, what I can do is I can make a selection and cut and paste it. Now before I do, I'm going to hit layer, make a new layer, and this one's going to be empty. And I am going to draw something else. Let's say that I just draw like a little thing here with the brush. Okay. So you can see right now that the only thing in layer 1 is what I drew in yellow. And I have it selected with the marquee. So if I wanted to move it, it does not let me move it. What I need to do, and this is something a little different, if I go to edit and I go to free transform, that's what's going to do it. But right now it's not letting me do anything because I have something selected. To get rid of a selection, in other words the marching ants, I hit Command D. So now let's go back to edit and free transform. Now you see this bounding box. So if you remember in Photoshop, I called it the bounding box. It lets you make it bigger, it lets you make it smaller, lets you rotate it, that kind of thing. Now if I wanted to make a selection of this, I can certainly go back to, let's say, the marquee tool, and if I wanted to cut a certain section of this, I can't go ahead and move it like Photoshop lets me, but instead if I wanted to cut this, I would have to go to Image and Cut. And then I would have to go to Edit and Paste. Now I want you to look at the layers. What I did is I cut out that piece and I pasted it. So if I go to free transform, you can see this is what I cut out. So I cut it and pasted it, and there I have it. So again, if I wanted to rotate it and such, but even if I wanted to change the size of this, I'm sorry, change the color of this, you can do that in hue saturation, just like this. Now let's see if I can do Command U. Nope, it doesn't allow me. Let's try one more time. Okay, so there is no shortcut for that. Command U for hue saturation. So you go to Adjustments, Hue Saturation. You do have a bunch of filters. You have an effect library, which is also known as the filter library. I'm trying to think of some other things that we used in Photoshop. Image size, image rotation. So, you know, you'll, depending on what you're working on, you just have to kind of explore it a little bit. And please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions during this time that we're not together. yeah, so I am going to do the next project, the first project that we're going to do with Pixlr. The video is forthcoming, so just look out for it. Okay, have fun.